from him, and give it to the one with 10. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will grow rich. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And throw this useless servant into the darkness outside, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Need to get my Fitbit steps in, so I'm going to walk a little bit. That was a joke. You can laugh. I'm going to tell a funny story about Father Aaron. This Father Aaron, by the way, he is one of the diocesan vocation directors. If anybody who wants to become a priest, talk to him. So he's the guy who can set that up for you. He was a seminarian. I think I'm 5 years ahead of. I'm 45 years older than him, but I was 5 years ahead of him in. Yeah, that was a joke too. Good. You guys are catching on. This is good. I like this. So I think I was 5 years ahead of him in seminary, and so I got ordained, and we both come from St. Joan of Arc in Kokomo, Catholic epicenter of the universe, okay? Holiest people ever. I'm sure there's not any disagreement, right? Okay. So anyway, he was retelling me a story, because earlier today he says, well, I'll can celebrate Mass with you. And he's like, I remember what you did to me when I was a deacon, that you said, okay, right before Mass, great, you're going to proclaim the gospel, and right before Mass started, it was a daily Mass, ring the bell, oh, hey, by the way, deacon, you're preaching. And then so he was like, you are not doing that to me again. I was close. I wonder how he would have reacted had I sat down. So let's talk about the gospel and the lesson learned. First, again, we are nearing very close to the end of ordinary time. So the readings are getting more and more end of time related. And so that just the themes that are coming out is that the end is coming soon. We are mortal, and Jesus will be coming again. So the readings in the liturgical year are kind of a microcosm of salvation history. We start with Advent when the Lord had not yet been incarnate. The Word had not yet come and dwelt among us. And then we have some ordinary time. Then we have the Lenten season, the expectation. And then, of course, there's the life of Christ, his ministry, his crucifixion, death, resurrection. We have that time of the Easter season, Pentecost, ascension into heaven, and the rest of counted time, which counts down to the end of time. That's what we're very close at. Next Sunday is Christ the King, and that reminds us of the second coming of Christ the King. Okay, so that's just a little bit of liturgical backdrop on the readings that we have. Now, the readings this week, and I'm focusing on the gospel. How does that have to do with the end of time, and what is going on? Because it almost seems like Christ is telling us, you need to be successful. You need to make a profit for me. That is not exactly what's going on. There's nothing wrong with being successful and making a profit. Absolutely. But that is not the point. The point is faithfulness. The point of this is faithfulness, because, I'm jumping ahead, he says to the first two servants who received talents and made something with it, he said, he didn't say because you have been successful. He didn't say because you have been profitable. What did he say? Because you've been faithful. Because you've been faithful in small matters, I will put you, and there's irony all over that, because you've been faithful in small matters, you will be put into much larger responsibilities. What's the irony behind that? What did he give them? Talents. What's talent? A talent of gold or silver was immensely valuable. A talent was worth 6,000 days' wages. 15 years worth of wages in one talent. And one, he gave 5 guys, each according to what he was competent to receive. So the first one received 5 talents. That is 1 or 2 lifetimes worth of wealth. That's a huge amount, unless you make what a priest does. It's very small, modest, very modest. People ask me, how are you doing? I was like, well, I'm underpaid, but I'm overfed. Okay. So he gives the first one 5. That is a vast amount of wealth. And he makes 5 more. He makes lifetimes worth of money out of this. And he says, because you've been good in small matters. So again, there's a little bit of irony there that worldly wealth is a much smaller matter. And keep this in mind, that we have to kind of translate in his parables to what it means in the spiritual life to us. So, a talent is worth a huge amount. One gets 5, one gets 2, one gets 1. This tells us that not everybody receives the same thing. Why is the master giving them this huge wealth to leave? That would happen. That would resonate with people who were hearing this, because at that time, the master of land or a king or royalty or something would go off maybe on military campaign, maybe off because he had acquired a vast amount of land somewhere else far, far away, maybe a year's journey away. It was not rare for someone who was immensely wealthy to have to be gone for a great amount of time, and you'd never know when he was going to come back. What does that remind us of? He did not know when he was going to come back. So he would put his stewards or his servants in charge of a huge amount of his holdings, but they were not to just keep it. What he is saying to the servants in this gospel parable is not, I want you to keep the place from burning down. He's not saying that. If he was saying that, he would not have given them a vast amount of wealth each. 5 talents, 6,000 days, 15 years per talent, 15 years of wealth per talent. 1, 2, again, 30 years of talent. The other one, not anywhere near as much, but still a large, none of us would turn our nose up at it. So he is giving them this vast amount of wealth, not to just, pay the bills, keep the lights on, keep the owls out of the attic, don't burn anything down. That's not what he's saying. He is saying, when he's giving them this wealth, he's saying, I'm putting you in charge while I'm gone. You never know if I'm going to be back. You have no idea when I'm going to be back. You're in charge. Grow this. Here is a huge amount of something immensely valuable. Don't squander it, but do something with it. Go. And that's what he's telling them. And so they go off. And the first one, he's very talented. Literally, he grows it vastly. He doubles it in the time that the master is gone. Second one does the same thing. He's really equally competent. The last one receives nowhere near as much, but he receives a lot. So, when we translate this to the spiritual life, he has received spiritual goods that were a lot. He received, not as much, but he received gifts. And what did he do with these graces that God gave him? Nothing. He did nothing. You wicked, lazy servant. And then there's the question. He asks a question. It almost sounds like he's making a statement when the lazy servant tries to put it back on the master and says, well, I knew that you cultivated where you didn't plant. You took where I knew, and I was scared of you because you do that. And the master says, so you know that I pull together where I don't plant, that I harvest where I don't grow. But it's in a form of a question. It's not a, so you know that I do these things. It's, oh, you know that that's what I do. Oh, that's what you're trying to tell me. You wicked, lazy servant. I gave you and you did nothing. So, this is right before the end of ordinary time when we are considering, Advent's coming, this liturgical year is coming to a close. We have to have our minds on our own mortality. The fact that the Lord is going to come again, the fact that we are going to be asked at the end of our lives to make an account for what we did or did not do. It is the fact that the church puts this reading as one of the very last that has to resonate within our soul, that I must take chances. I have to invite people to Mass. I have to share my faith. That is me investing my graces, my talents, so that the kingdom will grow. Because if I don't even make the sign of the cross in public, then that is me taking my talent the Master gave me, burying it in the ground, and becoming a wicked, lazy servant. One idea for you, just a simple idea. Take a rosary walk around your neighborhood. Grab your rosary, walk. Let everybody see you, not because you are trying to be better than anybody else, but because prayer sanctifies both the person doing the praying and the whole world. That's just an idea. It's just an idea. But take it and run with it. I'm going to start praying the rosary all around. Father Aaron has been bugging me. Hey, Arbuckle, what are we going to do to make them Catholic? We're going to start praying the rosary, walking around the neighborhood. Right? Yes. So, brothers and sisters, we mustn't be the wicked, lazy one. We can't hide our faith and pretend like, well, I was baptized, I was confirmed, I go to Mass, I receive the Eucharist, I go to confession, I pray the rosary in the privacy of my own home, I'm doing great. That's not bad. Don't get me wrong. But this gospel, it needs to burn in me a little bit. That he gave talents. He gave vast wealth. The faith, Holy Catholic faith, is vast wealth. Vast wealth. I must never bury it so that others can't benefit from it. Those who did, the good thing, in my opinion, is that the other two guys, they did a whole bunch. And they multiplied the Master's wealth. And I think that's us. Talented, some greater, some lesser, but gifted graces, let's multiply it. And make sure that this faith to which we have been entrusted gets multiplied with our efforts combined with God's good graces. God love you.